is our adventure. This isn't our goodbye. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming.
Hi, my name is Matt Liebsch from Pioneer Midwest, and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we are one of the largest ski shops in North America, and we have an exclusive collection of race closeouts. So we've got a bunch of Rosinal, and we've got Solomon skis, and we carry Fisher, Machus, and Atomic as well. But since we're big enough, we can usually leverage our buying power with manufacturers, and we can get a bunch of race closeouts. So this spring we will have a bunch of options, and you'll be able to check those out on our website at pioneermidwest.com to check our selection. Hello, this is Matt Liebsch from Pioneer Midwest, and welcome to our shop. I want to let everyone know that by shopping with us and supporting us, it supports the organizations that we all love. So we're sponsors of the Berkey, the City Lakes Loped Foundation, and the Boss Loped, along with high school skiing in Minnesota and other states as well. So we thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing supporting the Nordic ski community around the country.
Hi everyone, it is Sophie Caldwell checking in from a beautiful sunny Davos, Switzerland, and very snowy. I just wanted to wish you good luck in the Berkey today. I can't wait to be home some winter doing the Berkey myself. It's something I've always dreamed of. I know it's a little different this year, but I'm sure it will still be special, and I'm sending you speedy vibes and lots of luck.
Here we are for the Women's Elite Race in the year 2021. This is the 47th Annual American Birkebeiner. If you were with us earlier this morning, we made every effort to bring you in real time from the forests of northern Wisconsin the American Birkebeiner men's and women's elite race. We had some technical difficulties. We're now excited to share with you the women's race, and following this a little bit later, we will share in its entirety the men's race as well. And we have an outstanding field in both races. This is the men's field about to leave the stadium. This is the American Birkebeiner. Here's a start list for the men. And as I said, you'll have a chance to watch that event in its entirety a little later. First, though, we're going to look at the women's field, and the men are underway. There's just a 5-minute delay in the wave starts now for the men and women. Normally, the women went off first, but that was the different format before the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the lives of all of us globally. Here's the women's race start list, and you can see Frankowski, Flowers, Sonesson, Feldman. You know, really a bunch of veterans at the top of that list, and some outstanding women who are going to be racing. If you look down that list, I would say probably the winner is going to come out of Frankowski, Flowers, Sonesson, Feldman, and Gregg. In terms of experience on this course and results, they've been outstanding. Here you can see the women being brought to the start. Now, earlier this morning, these athletes had to show up almost an hour before the start, a little after 7, and their skis were tested to ensure that they weren't in any way prepared with fluoro waxes. El Serrano from FIS was here and took from random skis. All skiers had to submit their skis, and from that group or batch of skis, there was a random selection, and tests were taken. Those test results, it's an imprint in the base, were sealed away, and they are sent to a lab in Germany. And this is the effort by FIS to prohibit the use of fluoro waxes as we move into a new future that is more environmentally friendly in cross-country skiing. This is a race, if you're not familiar, the American Birkebeiner is the largest ski race in North America, the third largest ski race in the world. For example, last year we had over 13,000 skiers. This year we have about 8,300 that registered. But of that number, about a third have gotten their bibs and participated virtually, and I'll talk more about that later. But so over the next, well, today and tomorrow and the preceding 3 days, a period of 5 days in its entirety, a little less than 5,000 skiers will participate. So as you look at this start, this doesn't look at all like the start field, even for the women's elite, which normally is around 80 skiers, and a far lesser number this morning. However, as I said, there's some outstanding veterans in this field. One of those is Rosie Frankowski. She's a former Olympian. She's out of Southwest High School in Minneapolis. She skied, as so many outstanding women have, at Northern Michigan. She's actually earned 2 master's degrees. She's been racing for the last couple years out of Alaska at that strong APU program coached by Eric Flora. She skied in the World Championships in 2019, the Winter Olympics in 2018, has a long list of World Cup starts, a true veteran. In fact, in this race, Rosie has had previous participation, not really been in the top 3, but close. She was 16th in 2012, 9th in 2016. Also in this list is Erica Flowers. Now, Erica is now married to Andy Newell, the outstanding veteran of the American ski program. They're living in Bozeman, which is her hometown. She's working part-time and training a lot, racing, and just seems to get better every year, particularly in distance events. And, for example, if we look back at her career, just the American Birkebeiner, in 2016 she was 3rd. In 2018 she was 6th. In 2020, last year, she was 3rd, but she was the top American finisher. Now, the other woman in this field another woman who needs mention is Caitlin Gregg. And if you have any familiarity with the American Birkebeiner, she's the iconic name. She's won this race 5 times, and the 6th time was 2nd in 2012. And the last time she raced last year, she missed 2019. She was giving birth to their little girl, Heidi. She's married to Brian Gregg, the elite skier. And both of them actually met in the CXC Elite program years ago. She's in her successes on this course, she's beat Rosie Brennan, who's now at the World Championships and was leading the World Cup earlier in the year. Caitlin Patterson, who's also skiing on World Cup and for the U.S. ski team. Claire Egan, who's one of our actually, I would argue, currently our top biathlete. So, and Holly Brooks, who had an outstanding career in World Cup and World Champion and Olympic racing. So, Caitlin comes into this. She's now a full-time mom, part-time worker, and just a full-time dedicated athlete with her husband, Brian. A lot of people, I think, are amazed at the lifestyle with work, training, racing, and then growing a darling little daughter, Heidi, the success that both of them have had. She's won a couple of races, including the Mora Vassal Open, and the women are underway, and this is the 2021 47th Annual Slumberland American Birkebeiner, and you are looking at the women's elite wave. They are leaving the stadium of the American Birkebeiner. This was an area developed in recent years. Once the Birkie moved off, we were a temporary guest of the Cable Airport, and now this is permanent, owned by the Birkie. In fact, I'm quite excited to inform you that just in the last couple weeks, the Birkie finally closed on the transaction. So now the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation not only owns this original 30 acres of this start area, but now has 725 acres of the former Telmark properties. And I'll try to explain as we move through the race some of the future plans for that. Right now you're looking at bib 501. This is Elena Sonesson, the young lady I haven't spoken about yet. She won this race 2 years ago. She missed it last year because of commitments on the World Cup for the U.S. ski team. In fact, already this year she came back from Europe. She skied both in Sweden and Finland with World Cup starts in 2021. So Sonesson is going to have to be reckoned with. She's one of the younger skiers in the front of this group. If I look down this start list, Elena's 24. Katie Feldman I haven't mentioned either. And Katie is an outstanding athlete. She hasn't won this race, but she was 6th in 2020, 3rd in 2019. She's from the Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation out of Sun Valley, Idaho, and she's a veteran of this course. Now, in some ways, that's not so important this year because this is such a different course. Normally, these skiers go up over the fire tower, they get to 00, and then there are some climbs, but you descend in elevation till you reach the floor of the river valley of the Namakagon. You go across Lake Hayward, up over the International Bridge, and down Main Street to the finish. This year, when they get to 00, they make a U-turn, and they go onto the classic trail, and they're going to climb back up over the highest point on the course, what's called the Sealy Fire Tower, and then descend to a totally different finish. You're going to wind down what's the old Corlopet course and come into the forest. You see Elena, I think, smiling for the camera. Right behind her, that's Rosie Frankowski, and I believe that as I look at those bib numbers, I think that's right behind Rosie, that would be Erica Flowers, and then Katie Feldman in the Sun Valley suit. That's kind of blue with the faint red and light blue at the bottom. And right now at the far right of your screen in the, I guess you could call that turquoise and white of LNR, that's the wily veteran, Caitlin Gregg. Some of you, if you followed her career, she grew up in New York, and she came to northern Michigan to ski for Sten Feldheim. And after a successful career there, she went to Andy Gerlach's factory team, and then was with the first group of athletes to join the very strong CXC Elite team. In fact, in that first year, it was just her and a young lady from the Northwest, Laura Vallis. And both of them had Laura sprinting, Caitlin more at distance, but they really, I think, moved their careers forward under the coaching of Brian Fish, who, after leaving CXC, has been with the U.S. ski team. As well was the person who followed him at CXC, Jason Cork, has now been on the World Cup circuit with the women of the U.S. ski team, and particularly his personal coach, and supports the efforts of the phenomenal success of Jessie Diggins. And congratulations on Jessie, I think 15th this morning from Germany in the World Cup in the skiathlon. But right now we're looking at the front of this race, sort of who we would expect it to see. The athletes who, in fact, all of these front skiers are going to come back tomorrow and do this same course in classic technique. But today they're skate racing, led by Rosie Frankowski, then Caitlin Gregg, then Erica Flowers, then Elena Sonesson, and Kate Feldman. Now, it's possible we could see a challenge to that group. Let me give you some of the numbers. Mara McCullough, a young lady out of Minneapolis who skied in Germany at the Junior World, she's 20 years old. She's wearing bib 507. 508 is Abby Drock, who had a great race over in Mora 2 weeks ago. 509 is Hannah Rudd, another strong athlete from the Midwest. 510 is Sarah Goebel. She skis now at Sun Valley and skied in the World Championships in Germany for the U23s. Felicia Gieser has a long career in cross-country skiing, also a veteran of the CXC program. In recent years, she's been skiing out of Bozeman with the Crosscut Mountain program. Lauren Yortberg is wearing bib 512, Hannah Olson 514, Amanda Kautzer, who some of you in the Midwest have followed her career, I'm sure, wears bib 515. Julie Ensrud is an interesting case. She's a Norwegian girl recruited by Sten Feldheim, just finished her academic eligibility or athletic eligibility, graduating from Northern Michigan. And she's wearing bib 519, and Ingrid Thurl is wearing bib 532, and she's another one of those cross-cut mountain athletes out of the Bozeman area. She's originally from Minneapolis as well. So a lot of Midwest skiers who grew up here, particularly in that strong high school program in Minnesota, like Rosie Frankowski, who I said was at Southwest High School. Elena Sonesson, our champion of 2 years ago, skied for, I believe, Plymouth. Or no, I take that back, Wayzata. That's going to create some problems. You don't want to misrepresent that. No, a Wayzata skier. And then Elena went on to, before racing for the U.S. ski team in Stratton Mountain, she skied at the University of Vermont, which also has a really strong ski program. So we're on the power lines now. And there's going to be, at the end of the power lines, at about 2.5 kilometer, a Mod Shoes $500 sprint bonus. And you can see, I don't know if Caitlin's going for the money or not, but she's pushing the pace at the front of the race. We're almost to that sprint bonus, right on her wheel, as you might say if you were drafting. And you know, skate skiing, the speed is so fast that there is a draft benefit. Now you see Gregg, Sonesson, and Frankowski getting a little bit of a break. Still a little bit of a distance to that $500 bonus. Caitlin won this race in 2011 and 2012. She was second. 2013 she won. 14 she won. 16 she won. 15 she was at the World Championships. She won in 18. And then in 19 she was giving birth to her daughter Heidi, and then she was fifth in 20. So her career with the American Birkebeiner has just been outstanding. Looks like nobody's in an effort to push the pace right now. So somebody's going to turn on the jets here for $500 in just a few minutes. Interestingly, of the leading group there, that Flowers, Frankowski, Sonesson, Feldman, and Gregg, all of them are registered to race again tomorrow. So 43 kilometers, a marathon distance today. And that looks like Ingrid Thurl, 532, is working at the front, going for the $500. But up on her right, here comes Elena Sonesson, the 2019 champion, a skier who I said has got World Cup experience even this winter. She was just back from Europe to come back. And she's just got 50 meters to go, and it looks like Sonesson's going to take it, but Thurl's not giving up. And it's going to be Elena Sonesson, less than a meter separating her from Ingrid. And then now you see Frankowski. Now the question is, once there's an effort like this, it's kind of like the sprints and bike racing, are these skiers going to say, hey, we got a break, let's keep going? But it's early. I mean, we've still got over 40 kilometers up and down the fire tower twice, so I'd be surprised if the pace doesn't relax a little bit. But Caitlin's not going to let anybody have too much recovery because she's gone to the front of the race, pushing the pace. This is Caitlin Gregg, married to Brian Gregg. They form Team Gregg, which is, you know, one thing, it's easy to watch them race because ever since the inception of this Team Gregg, the two of them, they've worn these neon green hats or headbands, and personally trying to watch races, I've appreciated. Now you can see they've got 42 kilometers to go, so still a lot of the race lies ahead on this difficult trail up and down the hills of the Fire Tower. My guess is that these top women might work a little harder just to create some separation. And it's like any event, you know, the fewer skiers, the fewer the risks that somebody's going to fall in front of you or possibly step on a skier pole and create a disaster. And one of the things I might say about this event, almost without exception, the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation, in efforts to bring you a healthy, safe event, cannot use a cookie cutter for any of their previous activities. Everything has changed. The only thing that's the same is once these athletes are in the woods, it is the Birkie Trail. But the venues for the Barna Birkie, the Junior Birkie, the Barca Birkie have all been changed this year. Some events like the Expo, which, you know, so many skiers love to participate in over several days, was canceled because of an effort to ensure that social distancing took place. These athletes had to line up with masks on, and then once the gun goes off, they can take the buff down or the mask, and then while they're racing. But at the food stations, no support. They can't be fed at the food stations. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with this exciting action from the women's elite field.
There's nothing quite like the heart of winter in North America's largest cross-country ski paradise. With 400 kilometers of groomed trails to explore, the opportunities are endless. Plan an adventure at visitcookcounty.com. Cook County, Minnesota is the perfect winter wonderland. Crisp, clear days, incredible amounts of snow, and miles of groomed trails in the Superior National Forest. Plan your winter getaway at visitcookcounty.com.
Everyone, welcome to the test lab at Pioneer Midwest. This is where we look at the fit and quality of skis. So we do pressure mapping in here, and then we do the flex testing over here. And I want to let you know that every summer we go ski shopping, so we visit the manufacturers to look for the best skis that they've made, and then we pair those up to our customers. So if you want hand-picked skis that are perfect for you, please contact us, and we'd love to get you on our list.
And once again, here we see the front of the women's elite field, and it looks like they've slowed down the pace for a while. It looked like maybe the top 5 or 6 women were starting to separate themselves, but now you see a group that's closer to probably 15 athletes who are with the lead group. And you've got Frankowski and Gregg at the front. That's the APU suit of Rosie. I think Caitlin has established her so much as a presence in skiing here in the Midwest that a lot of people don't realize she was born in New York, actually New York City, and then what brought her to the Midwest was being recruited by Sten Feldheim at Northern Michigan. Rosie, also recruited by Sten, went to Northern Michigan, but coming out of, as I said earlier, the Minneapolis community. If you look at the background of someone like Erica Flowers, she's married to Andy Newell, the great, particularly his achievements in sprinting on the World Cup were phenomenal. A longtime member of the U.S. ski team. They live in Bozeman, which is her home originally. The prize money today is for the women. First place is $2,500. Second place is $1,750. Third is $1,500. Fourth is $1,000. Fifth, $500. And we pay 6 deep for the Birkie. $250 is sixth place. And as I say, we've already had a win of $500 at the Mod Shoe Sprint at 2.5 clay by Elena Sonesson. There's another chance at 20K at Double O, the turnaround point, to head back to the facilities here at the stadium by the old Telmark Resort, and that's another $500. The grooming was done early this morning, and there's no tracks. It's from edge to edge of the deck, prepared for skating, because those skiing, even the citizen racers and the later waves, only in the skate technique. Now tomorrow it's just the total opposite. They'll set tracks, probably best line, maybe 3 or 4 tracks across the course, which is 20 to 30 feet wide through its entirety. It's an amazing marathon trail. I think of the 20 countries that participate in the World Lopet, and obviously I'm prejudiced, but this is the best marathon course. It's wide. It's dedicated in 2 county forests at Bayfield and Sawyer. It's a trail that's maintained, mowed in the summer, cleared in the summer of down trees and branches, and then groomed throughout the winter months. And no other marathon course has the ability to have a point-to-point race of this distance and have it on property that can be continuously maintained. Here we see one of the racers of the men's elite field that started 5 minutes earlier, that's just been caught by the leading women, and congratulations to him for his courtesy of moving out of the way. Here Frankowski is pushing the pace, Caitlin checking her, and then I believe that's the Katie Feldman. Yes, it is. Those suits, kind of blue legs with just below the knee a little red and then light blue, that's the team suit of the Sun Valley Ski Education. The blue, black, and white, very prominent suit, that's the suit that has been worn by APU athletes for some time. The turquoise suit is a suit of Lopik Nordic Racing out of the Twin Cities, where Caitlin has been such a big contributor. I was here for the Gitchigumi Games, and she raced, and she was spending equal effort cheering on the young high school and junior athletes who were participating. And both she and Brian have really made a prominent position for themselves in the ski community in the Midwest, but particularly in the Twin Cities, as they promoted skiing and worked with young athletes and really created a great example for these young athletes. Now coming up on the right side of the field in that red suit of Stratton Mountain is the young lady also out of the Twin City market. That's Elena Sonesson, the 2019 champion. Got to be considered a heavy favorite for today, having won 2 years ago, not racing here last year. You know, last year's race was really interesting. It was won by a young lady who's going to school in New Mexico out of Australia, Jessica Yeaton, and she broke away at Double O, but it was a way different race. I mean, when she broke away, she still had 27 kilometers to go, a little more than half the course, but there's a few big climbs in that as you climb up, the infamous Bitch Hill, and then you make a climb after Mosquito Brook, and probably the most challenging is near the end of the race, you climb after you cross Highway 77. But then you descend for like 4 kilometers of almost flat racing as you approach the lake, across Lake Hayward, over the International Bridge, and to the finish. This year it's going to be different. This year there's going to be some climbing, but near the end you're going to have a lot of descending as you come back on what was the inbound Cortalopa course, or originally the Birkie 10K. But there is a bridge, a new bridge that was just built this summer here in the stadium area of the Birkie Trailhead. And you're going to go up over that bridge and make a downhill sharp right turn, a second right, and then 100 meters into the stadium. But there's going to be a kind of rolling, twisting downhill for a couple of kilometers almost. And I think the strategy, or who's going to appeal to their strength in terms of their talents as a skier, is going to be quite different. And as you look at that course going back north from Double O, maybe the last significant climb is you go through the food station, which is approximately 9 kilometers, and that's at what's called the Timber Trail Forest Road crossing. And then there's a fairly significant climb, but then rolling terrain again. You know, you're just constantly, as we watch this, it's this undulation across northern Wisconsin, I think making a perfect cross-country ski trail. The transitions from downhill to uphill are just, particularly when the course is like today. They went out there early in the morning with 5 piston bullies, and the course, as I say, is combed for skate racing only. No tracks are set, and it's really, temperature and course condition wise, it's almost perfect. Just a really firm, nice, hard deck for these athletes to race on. And this looks like Erica Flowers at the front for a little bit, and Feldman comes up beside her, right behind her, checking her. Are, again, Gregg and Sonesson. Frankowski, who was at the front for a while, has drifted a little bit to the back. I take that back. I think I've mistaken the identity of our leading skier. That's not Erica Flowers. This could be Hannah Olsen, or I'm guessing possibly Hannah Olsen. It's exciting that the American Birkebeiner has closed on the acquisition of 725 acres of the former Telmark properties. And as they look to the future, they will first begin demolishing, unfortunately, the Telmark Lodge, but it's reached a point of decay that's a necessary step. They're doing this in cooperation with support from the town of Cable and the state of Wisconsin. And they're going to hopefully reopen very soon more of the World Cup trails. They've already done that this past winter. They expanded their snowmaking to almost 3 kilometers, and they're looking to further expand that to at least a 5-kilometer circuit. Really exciting skiing for those people living in the area. Skiing's been available since before Thanksgiving without any interruption. We've had a great winter here in northern, and here you can see that first food station. This is at what's called Timber Trail. And the facilities, you see the solar panels and the hut there? This is amazing. The American Birkebeiner in the last few years has established a hut at every food station along the course. And those food stations come at anywhere from a little less than 5 kilometers. The greatest distance is 9 kilometers. And they have heat and they have running water. And it's not only great for the recreational use in the winter skiing or in the summer mountain biking, hiking, trail running, but it's great for running a race because the volunteers are not sitting out at the wood at these food stations, or I should say in the forest on cold mornings in these food stations. They actually have a really nice chalet with heat and amenities of running water. As I said, there can't be feeds in the food station. There is running water there, and then there's a energy drink that if you stop to fill your water bottle, and you have to carry your own bottle, and you see taped on the front of this young athlete. Again, I think that could be, maybe this is Amanda Kautzer, and I apologize for not being able to recognize the number. But anyway, right behind her is Elena Sonesson. Again, this is part of the efforts to create an opportunity to ski race, but to make it safe under the guidelines of the CDC for COVID-19. One of the things that's happened in this effort to deal with this pandemic is, in some ways, the American Birkebeiner, which is by far the largest race in North America. In fact, even with this diminished from 13,000 to a little over 8,000, is still more than 4 times bigger than any other race in North America. And but what the race has done is accomplished creating virtual opportunities with over 40 sites across the country where courses were laid out and you could ski a virtual Birkie in your own skiing center. And some of these organizations have really been creative. I saw a picture on the internet from 9 Mile, which is a beautiful ski trail system by the city of Wausau, where near the finish line they put up a big fan and said, "You are now dealing with a headwind on Lake Hayward." Well, once again, we're going to step away for just a short break.
Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun
Hello, this is Matt Liebsch from Pioneer Midwest, and welcome to our shop. I wanted to let everyone know that by shopping with us and supporting us, it supports the organizations that we all love. So we're sponsors of the Berkey, City Lakes Loped Foundation, and the Boss Loped, along with high school skiing in Minnesota and other states as well. So we thank you for your support, and we look forward to continuing supporting the Nordic ski community around the country.
Now you see Elena Sonesson at the front of this field, and really the pace is not too torrid because you don't see the lead pack being diminished that much. And to be honest, I think these athletes are uncertain as to how this case will progress because of uncertainty about the course, having never skied to Double O and then turned around climbing the fire tower a second time before going towards the finish. A little bit about the history of this race. It started in 1973 by the infamous Tony Wise. He also founded the Telemark Resort, and this was a way to promote the sport of cross-country skiing. And the first race had 34 men and 1 woman. Tony didn't think this was a distance of 50 kilometers appropriate, or 55 for women. And a young lady named Jackie Linsku jumped into the race and participated in the first race. The first year, he also offered another opportunity of a shorter event, the Quarter Lopet, which continues today. And today that race on the format we've laid out under COVID-19 is a distance of 27 kilometers, and it's sponsored by Solomon. There's an additional race of 14 kilometers called the Prince Håkon, and it's sponsored by the Northern Lake Co-op. This is the Slumberland American Birkebeiner. This is the race today on Saturday for the prize money. You see the skiers continuing to climb. This is the Fire Tower food station. That's a snowmobile trail they just crossed. You see those gates there, and that's so that when the race isn't on, the trail is closed off. I must say this, in appreciation of our community of snowmobile users in the area, there are hundreds of miles of snowmobile trail. Lots of people come up here, particularly when we have, as you can see, great snow to snowmobile. And the abuse of the ski trail is almost non-existent. And it's such a nice, flat, wide deck. It's like an Autobahn through the forest. And I've always felt appreciation for the restraint shown by snowmobilers not to go out in the middle of the night and rip up and down the ski trail and destroy the grooming. Caitlin kind of looking like, come on, somebody else want to come to the front and do the work here. But everybody seems pretty comfortable at this pace. And they're going to descend now from the fire tower. It's not like one big straight downhill. It kind of curves and bends, pretty much gentle curves, but you're descending for quite a while. You just see a V2 being used by Caitlin as she works her way down these gradual descents. And then they're going to have a couple of climbs before 00 where the turnaround is. One of them has been called by the local community of skiers turrets, and then the final climb right up to 00. Looks like a little faster tempo, a little jump skiing from Caitlin there, trying to pick up the pace, seeing if as we ascend these hills, causing a little separation. Frankowski doesn't seem to have any problem, or Sonesson, or for that matter, Feldman keeping track of the pace here. And that looks like Erica Flowers, the veteran who's had so much success in this on this course in recent years, right there, currently sitting in 5th position. Another one of the elite men, and again, showing a great deal of courtesy. Interesting trying to watch, particularly as they glide on the downhills, to see if there's much difference in ski speed. And at this point, I really haven't recognized any. You know, for a lot of these skiers, this is new territory they're embarking on, because they're so used to using highly fluorinated and straight fluoro wax preparation. And now with the ban on fluoros, this isn't the first race that's happened. So most of these athletes, at least this winter, have been racing quite a bit, some in marathon, others in shorter races, and not having ski bases prepared with fluoro wax. Here you see Frankowski using a V2, everybody V2ing at the front of this race. In 2 weeks, this very same course is going to be used for the Fat Bike Birkie, which is the biggest fat bike race in North America. And again, the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation, as they have done all winter with the events they have held, have put in place the protocols necessary to ensure mass social distancing and a healthy, safe event. Talking about the history, one of the gentlemen I saw this morning, and I think he's already skied, because you could have skied on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday leading up today or tomorrow classic skiing, is Ernie St. Germain. And this guy, I think the Birkies made him younger. He has participated in all 47 American Birkebeiners. Never missed a race, And, you know, regardless of conditions, sometimes it's been raining, sometimes brutally cold, sometimes new snow and slow. And Ernie's been out there every year and skied successfully to the finish. So congratulations to, and he's an outstanding ambassador for the American Birkebeiner, Ernie St. Germain. You know, this history goes back to conceptually 1206 when Norwegians, to save the heir to the throne, Prince Håkon, skied over the mountains of Norway with the young prince, and these two warriors protect their calves and or I should say their shins with tying birch around them because there was no grooming, no trail, and so hence the term birch legger. And now if you have skied 20 or more American Birkebeiners, you are considered in the birch legging club. But with 47 Birkies, now we have a large number of athletes who have participated in 30 or more, and they are now referred to as Uberleggers, and they have a dark charcoal bib, and the birch leggers are wearing a purple bib. So if you see the citizen racers on course, you can distinguish those athletes. Here a little V1 up the hill, a climb. Again, they're working their way towards, well, the first thing we're going to see is the Bodecker food station, and then it's only going to be 4.5 kilometers to the second sprint, sponsored by Mod Shoes for $500. Here you see one of the elite men. Typically that elite men's field is 200 of the previous skiers in terms of results, plus any of the international. Now this year, again, because of the travel restrictions, we really don't have any international skiers. In fact, as I looked through the results, the only one I saw on the list of the elite skiers is the young lady Julie Ensrud, who's in this race, and she's from Norway, but she's been in this country for several, well, at least 4 years, going to school at Northern Michigan.
Okay, they said the gauge is busted, but hopefully we make it.
This looks to me like, yeah, that's Erica Flowers now at the front of the race. She's got those goo packets on her waist belt, and she's got that red, blue, and white team suit out of Bozeman, Montana. I think, I'm not sure if that's a Bridger Ski Foundation or the Crosscut Mountain, and I apologize for my ignorance on that one, but I do recognize Erica Flowers. As I said, she's a veteran. In fact, I was looking at her results on the FIS website. I saw a race she completed successfully in 2003 in a Continental Cup event, and yeah, she's just amazing. She's gotten into mountain running in the summer. Like I said, last year she was the first American. The race was won by Jessica Yeager out of Australia. Jessica Eaton out of Australia, and Lisa Ropinen was the second place finisher. So in that event, Erica was the first American. This is Turrets, the infamous hill that's just north of the Bodecker food station, about a kilometer and a half, and you see a strong V1 being exhibited by Caitlin, and but you know, being marked again by that front group of Feldman, Frankowski, Flowers, and Sonesson. This is a significant climb. I know these young ladies make it look fairly effortless, but and this last pitch is really steep. And Caitlin just is doing a great job transgressing this, and
really can do, I think.
Or do you want to or you want me just to cut across into the class?
I mean, if we can catch up, whatever you think is the best route.
What you saw to the right of your screen is the classic trail going back towards Telemark, and some of the men who left 5 minutes earlier in the elite. And again, these are some of the men as our camera sled passes some of the elite men. You see a few volunteers. There's some access trails that come off the what's called Phipps Fire Lane. And the other thing is at the coaches meeting, the teams were told that if you wanted to feed, you could put people out on the trail, but not at the food station. Again, the idea is to minimize congestion, to have as few people as possible. Interestingly, an FM station was created this morning just for broadcast here at the Berkey Trailhead. So people who ski out of the waves can come, sit in their car, more than adequate parking for everybody who's participating. And then if they tune into the station, they'll get a 5-minute warning of when they should progress to the start. So everything's been done by the Berkey Foundation to minimize any kind of, congregation of athletes. No spectators are allowed, and there's no warming hut. There's no tent for waiting in. And fortunately, the temperatures are really mild. And really, we're fortunate for an ideal ski race day here on the trails of the American Birkebeiner. As we look to the development of this property here at Telemark, you can see the 25-kilometer mark. That means 25 kilometers to go. So this is the last climb up the hill to 00, and here's that women's field as our camera catches up with these young ladies again. And there you see 504. And that's the young lady we've talked about, Katie Feldman. 505, Caitlin Gregg. 503, Elena Sonesson, right behind Caitlin Gregg. Rosie Frankowski. And unfortunately, I don't have a start list that would give me 542. That's the LNR skier. As predicted, though, so far the race has been dominated by, at the front of this field, Sonesson, Flowers, Feldman, Frankowski, and Gregg. Gregg currently now pushing the pace as they approach 00, and this is a preem for $500. So the first preem we saw at 2.5 kilometers on the power lines, that was won by Elena Sonesson. It's going to be interesting to see. She's in a pretty good position. So is Frankowski. Caitlin, known mostly as an endurance athlete and a distance marathon skier, not so much a sprinter, but she's just got a lot of talent. Here it looks like Elena kind of coming to the outside. So I'm guessing from that posture that she's going to go for the sprint. And it looks like she took another $500 payday. Congratulations to Elena Sonesson. And this is the U-turn. This is just in the last couple of years, a new Nordic Center with a contribution from the Johnson family, the Sam Johnson Nordic Center at 00. We have lit trails here for the American Birkebeiner and a beautiful venue. mountain bike trails for fat biking, and as well a classic trail. And then out of sight, there's a permanent bridge now that crosses over County 00, so you can come and recreate. Now it looks like Caitlin's thinking, okay, they're taking feeds, and there's a little kind of disorganization occurring. I'm going to push the pace a little bit. But Sonesson's going, I'm not letting this woman get away. She's had too much success on these trails. So as they leave 00, we're going to step away, and we'll be right back.
Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming. Honey, we can start running. I can see the sun coming.
Welcome to the back shop at Pioneer Midwest. We are your one-stop shop for all things service. This last year we invested in a Tazari stone grinder machine, so we are doing grinds at the world-class level, and we've also got hot box and all the wax needs that you could possibly think of. So if you're looking for a fresh tune or wax service, definitely let us know and we can help you out.
All right, this is some of the men's field that the women are catching up with. They've made the turn at 00, and they've got less than 23 kilometers to go to the finish. You can see the harvesting of some trees here in the Bayfield County Forest along this section of trail between Bodecker and 00. And here come the women, led by Caitlin Gregg. And to the credit of the men, once again, they seem to be willing to yield the course, so they're not causing any obstruction, which is great. It's Gregg, Sonesson, Frankowski, and Flowers, Feldman. Actually, it looks like right now Erica has dropped off a little bit. You can see the result of the forest harvest there. This is a section of the trail where recreational skiers during the winter a lot of times will drive up what's called Bodecker Forest Road. And now Caitlin turns around, and I think kind of surprised that we're down to just a group of 4, and Erica has apparently had some problems keeping up the pace. I don't know if she got tangled up with somebody or just the pace was a little too difficult, but right now we've got down to just a group of 4. Now the question is, will they stay away, or will the lack of effort result in some of these skiers catching up? They did have some climbing. They descend right out of the double O, a couple of twisting sharp downhills, but then there's some climbing, and they're kind of still climbing as they approach Bodecker again. What I was beginning to say is that now you can see that 23 are the kilometers left to the finish, but this is a section of the trail where many skiers will drive up Bodecker Road Park and then do laps, go out to skate, and back on the Classic, or vice versa. So one of the things with this parallel course for the Classic Trail, which we're using as an out and back format for the skate race today, is it really does give you some circuits throughout the northern half of this Birkebeiner ski trail. You can see this is a pretty good climb. Nice tempo being maintained by these top 4 women currently. Be interesting to see, Feldman, as these races, and there you can see the effort of Erica Flowers. She's by herself right now, but trying to close down on these leading 4 athletes. Feldman, as I've watched this race in recent years, was always in a position like this, usually in the front groups, able to sustain the pace, but never quite able to close for a success on race day. She was 3rd in 2019. She had a podium finish, and we pay 6 deep, so she also had a payday last year finishing 6th. So she's definitely had outstanding results, but just never quite had the opportunity to be at the top of the podium, and maybe this is the day. She's been quite smart. She hasn't really made any effort at the front like Frankowski and even Elena and Caitlin have. There you can see 2 skiers. There's a couple men in between her, but Erica is not giving up, making every effort to close down the distance between her and this lead group of 4. Looking back, I think she's the only one. I just saw Rosie glance over her shoulder. If you're thinking about, now everybody's kind of going, wait a minute, where's Erica? If you're looking at the payday result, right now, the worst result for one of these top 4s would be a $1,000 payday. And Elena Sonesson already has $1,000 in her pocket from winning the 2 sprints sponsored by Mod Shoes. These events, particularly when you have to undergo the difficulty of changing schedules and venues such as were required this year, couldn't be possible without the great support of sponsors like Slumberland, that has sponsored for a number of years the American Birkebeiner, Swix, that formerly sponsored the Birkie and now is a big supporter in other ways, particularly the program of making the Birkie environmentally friendly through the over 10,000 gear bags. And then Solomon, which sponsors the Cordelopet, and Northern Lake Co-op, the local co-op that has stepped forward to be the title sponsor for the Prince Håkon. The TDs for this event are Scott Wilson and Bob Aldrich. This trail began as a course starting in 1973 from an area in the Hayward community on Lake Hayward owned by Tony Wise, who also owned Toilmark. The Lumberjack Bowl, where it's the venue for the American Lumberjack Championships, which interestingly and I think appropriately have now been acquired by the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation. It was run by a foundation. They were having some problems, and I think it's fitting and appropriate that, given the rich history that was established by Tony Wise, that this summer contest or festival of lumberjack skills and the facilities from which it operates are now owned by the American Birkebeiner, because this was the first site of the start on this kind of bowl-like area on Lake Hayward, on the frozen lake, where the first Birkie of 1973 started, with 34 men and 1 woman lined up. And they skied towards Telemark on a combination of any trail Tony Wise could find. There were some logging roads, there were some snowmobile trails, I think partly a railroad bed. I don't know if it was the first or second year, a local individual, a young man, Steve Masnio, was pulled behind a snowmobile with skis on to set the tracks in 1973. So things have progressed a lot. In about I believe it was 80, Tony got some grant funding, and the trail was quite narrow. It was classic technique only, and so in a lot of places it was like a 8-foot wide trail, double tracked, and then lots of congestion occurred because the race quickly grew into the thousands from the initial 34. And the result was that the trail was widened, but it's continuously improved. I mean, it's almost every year that the American Birkebeiner has in the summer months done some recontouring of curves or widening of the trail or flattening the deck, and it's an ongoing project. I think it's estimated that the foundation spends around $350,000 a year in trail maintenance, and that's mowing, clearing down trees, and of course the extensive effort at grooming all winter. And in fact, a lot of effort was made just in the last 24 hours, because fortunately today it's a really nice day for skiing. As I look into the stadium, you don't see a flag moving. Yesterday, a lot of wind, and as you can see from this course, it's through dense forest, so all kinds of leaves and branches and debris were put down on the trail. And the grooming crew worked through the night, because look at the deck these athletes, these women are skating on right now. You don't see pine cones, you don't see branches, you don't see leaves. It's a perfect, well, as I say that naturally I'm cursed, but just, no, it's 99% just a beautiful, clear, perfectly flat deck that these athletes can race on. Now a little free skating by Rosie at the front of the field. And for quite a while now, since we've left the 00 turnaround, it's just been this group of 4. Sonesson and back, right ahead of her, Feldman, then Gregg, and at the front, Rosie Frankowski. And as I look back from our camera angle, there she comes. She hasn't given up. Sadly, the gap has not gotten greater or less. So Erica Flowers is just out there in no man's land. And as I say, at a race like this, one, I think helping set the tempo, there's a benefit to skiing with others. But even more so, there's intermittent opportunities for you get a draft off the skier, just like in cycling. So Erica's had a little bit of a misstep, and that gap opened up, and she hasn't given up, but she just hasn't seemed to be able to close that down. We're still on the section where we're going to approach in a couple of K the Bodecker food station. As you can see, there's now 20 kilometers to go. There's about 23 kilometers that have already been accomplished, so the athletes are a little over halfway. And taken out of the picture as far as podium positions, excuse me, it appears that the athletes like Hannah Olsen, Amanda Kreutzer, Julie Ensrud, Ingrid Thurl, Sarah Goebel, Felicia Giesier, Hannah Rudd, Avery Drock, Maura McCullough, And it looks like the top 4 are pretty well established, with the possibility that Flowers can close this down at some point. Now you see the women having passed 3 men, and they're taking some pace off the this lead pack of 4 women. This is one of the easier sections of the trail as we approach. Now we're about to cross Bodecker, and then we're going to have some downhill. But those last couple of kilometers are gently rolling, and not the concerned about the descents, or more importantly, following that, the ascents. Again, Caitlin and Rosie kind of checking to see where Flowers is, and sadly it looks like that the cord connecting her has been broken. I think it's fair to say that we're looking from among this group of 4, the 2021 Slumberland American Birkebeiner champion. There I could see in the distance, but the distance has doubled since the last time she came into my vision. I could see Erica Flowers. In this group of lead skiers, the youngest is at 24, Elena Sonesson, and then Katie's 25, and Rosie is 29. Caitlin had at the World Championships a third place bronze medal several years ago, and she's had some Olympic starts. She's had some World Cup starts. In fact, interestingly, 2 weeks ago, she was because of the success she's had racing this winter, she was given a World Cup start for Nova Mesta in the Czech Republic. And then because of the problems of COVID, that weekend of World Cup racing, which was 1 week before the World Championships were going to begin in Germany, were canceled. So I don't know if Caitlin, it's possible that if she would have gotten that World Cup start, she wouldn't be leading the field of the American Birkebeiner today. As I say, she is by far the most successful athlete, man or woman, in the history of the American Birkebeiner, with the 5 wins and 1 second place that she's previously accomplished in her career. Training with CXC, she spent quite a bit of time in the area of Hayward and Cable, and really knows, she and Brian live outside the Worth Ski Trail system, and so they spend a lot of time training there, but frequently come up and visit in the area and spend time on the Birkie Trail. But she's just been a phenomenal ambassador for the Birkie and for cross-country skiing. Katie Feldman, who's now leading the race, she's out of Ketchum, Idaho, and like I said, that's that team suit of the Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation. As I look at the posture of those top 4 women, They look all pretty comfortable at this pace. I'm not sure any one of them would make an effort to make a break. I mean, they do have to still ascend to the fire tower, but the problem is that once you crest the fire tower, you still got, almost 13 kilometers to the finish. So unless you're able to really make by yourself a significant advantage over the field that's chasing you, it probably is just a little too early, and it's not a flat downhill. But you're doing more descending than ascending, but there's still some pitches that you've got to climb up, particularly after you cross timber trail. So it'll be interesting to see how this continues to develop. My guess is that nobody's going to make that big effort to reach the top of the fire tower by themselves. The purple bit we just passed, as I indicated, signifies that this lead athlete has skied 20 or more Birkebeiners. A little quick stepping around that turn. This is as you descend a little bit after you're at Bodecker, before you start the final climb to the fire tower. '78 was a pivotal year in this race, even though it originated in '73, in part because in 1978 Tony Wise invited representatives from 8 other mature, significant marathons, like the Vasaloppet of Sweden, the Birkebeiner or Birken of Norway, the Engadine of Switzerland, the Marcia Longa of Italy, the König Ludwiglauf of Germany, the Transocean of France. Those representatives from those races were invited by Tony at his expense to come to Telemark to see his American Birkebeiner, and at that time he discussed with them the concept of creating an international league of marathon ski racing, not only for elite athletes but for citizen athletes to travel the globe. And hence, in the next spring, following those discussions in Uppsala, Sweden, formerly the World Loppet ski organization was founded. It started out with 9, quickly grew to 10 races, including Canada, and then now is 20 races. And recent additions have been Iceland and China, Argentina, Russia, as well as New Zealand and Australia in the southern hemisphere, the United States and Canada, and then the races of Central Europe and Scandinavia. And Poland, formerly of the Eastern Bloc, and Estonia are part of the 20-race circuit of the World Loppet. So as we watch the women continue to climb to the fire tower, we're going to step away, and we'll be back shortly.
There is a place in northern Minnesota where summer is calling you to open up, to jump in through freshwater days and campfire nights, new trails and new adventures. Breathe deeper, dare bigger. Discover a place of pure colors and winding roads, village walks and summit views. This is where you feel free. Journey north to Cook County, Minnesota. Plan your adventure at visitcookcounty.com.
Hi, my name is Matt Liebsch from Pioneer Midwest, and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that we are one of the largest ski shops in North America, and we have a exclusive collection of race closeouts. So we've got a bunch of Rosinal, and we've got Solomon skis, and we carry Fisher, Machus, and Atomic as well. But since we're big enough, we can usually leverage our buying power with manufacturers, and we can get a bunch of race closeouts. So this spring we will have a bunch of options, and you'll be able to check those out on our website at pioneermidwest.com to check our selection.
Hi everyone, it is Sophie Caldwell checking in from a beautiful sunny Davos, Switzerland, and very snowy. I just wanted to wish you good luck in the Birkie today. I can't wait to be home some winter doing the Birkie myself. It's something I've always dreamed of. I know it's a little different this year, but I'm sure it will still be special, and I'm sending you speedy vibes and lots of luck.
And here you see Elena Sonesson and Rosie Frankowski. And it looks like Elena has made a move on the field, and Rosie's trying to close it down. In the background, sorry we missed that effort. I think this was right after Timber Trail, but I'm not sure. That would be the best climb if you really felt, you're feeling great and you wanted to make an attack on the field. So Elena's opened up a gap. Rosie's not giving up, though. She's closing it down. But now Feldman and Gregg might be out of the picture for being the champion in 2000. Yeah, we've got 11 kilometers to go. So those athletes in the back are men in the elite field that have been passed by Elena and Rosie. Rosie's looking back. I'm sure that she's talking to Elena like, we're doing great, let's just keep this going. We got rid of Feldman, we got rid of Gregg. Earlier we were able to lose Flowers, so now it's the two young athletes, Elena Sonesson, who skied at the University of Vermont, now with Stratton Mountain, and Rosie Frankowski, who skied at Northern Michigan, now training with the APU program. Actually, she's doing some teaching at Alaska Pacific. She's in the course of her ski racing at the collegiate level. She's not only graduated from college, but earned 2 master's degrees. Elena Sonesson is a young lady who skied in high school at Wayzata and then went to the University of Vermont, which has a long history of outstanding skiers, both men and women. And now is in that program out at Stratton Mountain with, the thing is when you have such great training partners in the summer, it really helps, that you reach a higher level. And so spending the summers working with athletes like Sophie Caldwell Hamilton and Jessie Diggins, I'm sure has been a real asset for Elena. And the same is true if you look at the young lady right on her ski tails. That's Rosie Frankowski, who's been training with people like Rosie Brennan and Sadie Mabe Bjornsson and, of course, Keegan Randall. I mean, the list of outstanding women out of both Stratton Mountain and APU are phenomenal. You know, with the reduced wave size and such a nice wide trail, the skier density that the leading women have to work through is pretty minimal. I really, as I've watched this race develop, it doesn't seem to me that there's been an instance where they've been interfered with or obstructed at all in terms of progressing towards the finish line. This is the Fire Tower Food Station. So there's only, I believe this is a Fire Tower Food Station. I may be corrected here. No, this is not the Fire Tower Food Station. I apologize. Again, the purple bid signifying, as we saw a close-up of that athlete as we went by, that he's skied 20 or more races, number 119. So we pretty much lost sight of Feldman and Gregg. As I look back at this camera angle, I don't see either the that looks like that could be Gregg. Just coming into our camera at the bottom of the hill there. And then it might be Feldman behind her, but a significant gap is open between the two of them. So right now, we're looking at Elena Sonesson and Rosie Frankowski going for the win, possibly somewhat assured of the third or bronze position is going to be Caitlin Gregg. Pretty soon here, any significant climbing is being accomplished, and then it's just rolling terrain and then a downhill into the former Telmark properties and the Berkey Trailhead, which now has this new finish stadium that's just been completed. Most of the work of recontouring the site and building the pedestrian bridge was done over this summer month by Kurt Proctor and the crew of the American Birkebeiner. And it's really created a world-class venue here. And as I said, one of the ambitions of Ben Popp and the Berkey Foundation is to bid for, in the year 2024, a World Cup. And the idea is to maybe work with the community of Minneapolis and Worth Park and have a couple of weekends of racing, both sprint and distance, so athletes could come to North America and not just do a single race, but do 4 or 5 World Cup events, which would, I think, provide better assurance that people coming out of Europe would take the risk of flying through 7 time zones to come and participate. And it'd be great for the American Birkebeiner, because given the rich history that this history, or I should say this legacy of Tony Wise and Telmark Properties of helping initiate the whole World Cup circuit in 1978, on the 20th anniversary of the event that Tony created. To bring the World Cup back here, I think, would be an appropriate 50th anniversary present to the Berkey and to the ski community of the United States as well as worldwide. Sadly, as we think about the history of the American Birkebeiner, Tony had a Norwegian ancestry, even though according to the information I've received, it was some Swedish friends who encouraged him to promote cross-country skiing on the properties of Telemark. But when he decided to do a marathon, he named it after the rich history of the Norwegian Birkebeiner, and therefore the American Birkebeiner. The thing I'm most happy with is that he chose not to adopt the standard of Norway, that you have to carry a pack over the mountain to symbolize the young Prince Haakon. So, you know, that's one thing I want to thank Tony for, that American skiers have not had to, like the Norwegians, carry a pack in the Birkebeiner. It looks to me like this is a pretty well guaranteed 1-2 finish. Now, exactly who's in first and who's in second, that's yet to be determined. But Frankowski and Elena Sonesson, two young ladies who've done some races together in Europe as juniors and U23s, are, you know, they're coming home together, and I just can't imagine how Caitlin or Katie Feldman are going to be able to catch them. This is the last food station they go through. This is at Timber Trail. Now, this is where there is a climb. You know, it's slight downhill, and then it's not like the climbs after 77 or Bitch Hill or after you cross Mosquito Brook. But as you can see, they are going to work their way uphill. But it doesn't look like there's going to be any effort. I think these two have settled that they're probably going to come to the finish line together and then see who's got the best sprint. Elena looks really comfortable at this pace. Nice posture over the skis, nice weight transfer. I think Rosie has obviously had a great ski career, but she's known as this kind of you know, terrier that's never going to let go or give up. So as I say, you know, watching these two young women, my impression is that there may not be a separation until we come into the stadium finish, and that's going to be pretty soon, because the major ascents are past, and the trail terrain kind of rolls in. This is the finish of the Cordelopa course when it finished at Telemark, and I know from skiing there a lot, you know, I always enjoyed it because there's kind of rollers, but it just seemed like you're primarily going downhill, so you recover quick, and then you can jump over another hill and glide down, and so I'm assuming these last few kilometers are going to move pretty quickly with these two young women. I think for any skier, putting in your resume that you won the biggest ski race in North America, a race that's 47 years old and had such a rich history of past champions, is a great success that you'd like to remember. Now, Elena, she's already accomplished that 2 years ago, Rosie has done this race numerous times, skied for such an outstanding program as Northern Michigan and then APU, but does not have the title of Birkie champion. It used to be when the Telemark Resort was open, Tony would always put up pictures, and even after Tony lost the race and the resort still remained open under new ownership, the Birkie Foundation had a wall of the past champions, and listening to the conversation of a lot of athletes, it was if you could make the wall of champions, that was quite a success, and if you didn't, that was quite a failure. So this is an opportunity for Frankowski to make that wall of champions, and Elena to secure her position as a two-time winner, the Slumberland American Birkebeiner. Only 6 kilometers to go. As far as the future of Telemark, talking to Ben Pop, the hope is that the sport of biathlon will be added to the event recreation opportunities at Telemark, and possibly downhill skiing or snowboarding with a rope tow on the former ski hill of Telemark. Tony opened that in 1947. Many people credit him with the first chairlift and snowmaking facilities. He began, though, in the 1960s to see the advent of new alpine resorts in the Rocky Mountains, and both easy access from the Midwest by train and plane, and realized the small hill, which, as Billy Kidd said at the dedication of the new Telemark Lodge, the first place he'd ever been where the ski lodge was bigger than the ski hill. But anyway, Tony, realizing that the small hill he had that he could use for alpine skiing, which was used by so many Midwesterners to learn to alpine ski, probably wasn't going to successfully compete, and that's when he decided to start to develop the ski trails that were the network of trails that are now going to be resurrected under the ownership of the American Birkebeiner Ski Foundation. And it's a beautiful network of trails, only being improved. If you've skied here, now the old elevator shaft is back as part of the loop of man-made snow, but to the credit of the Birkie, they filled in a little at the bottom, which was a severe compression. It could put your knees into your chin. Here you see a little cheering. In fact, those are Lynn Cecil and Drew Holbrook of representing Solomon here in the Midwest, out on the course, encouraging athletes. I think the whole Sonesson family skis. I know Merritt has had great races, and both, reading some material about Elena, she talks about as soon as she could walk, her parents had her on skis, and that tradition, it's like the Diggins family getting Jesse out on skis. So I'm looking forward to the future of Heidi Gregg, because I think Heidi was on skis before she could walk, the young daughter of Caitlin and Brian. So tomorrow we're going to have classic racing, and we're going to bring live stream coverage of that. And one of the things I think that's kind of interesting is I look at the start list for the classic race. The four of the women who were at the front of this race, Gregg, Sonesson, Feldman, and Frankowski, are registered to do the classic race. And, you know, with the exception of Erica Flowers, who had some problems after they turned around at Double O, the top four women, Gregg, Sonesson, Feldman, and Frankowski, the two in your picture right now, Rosie Frankowski and Elena Sonesson, are registered to come back to this very same course in race and classic technique. The other quick reminder is following our presentation of this coverage of the women's race, we hope to bring you the men's race in its entirety. There you saw Elena taking a drink. You know, without feeds and the opportunity to get feeds at the food stations, it's a little more difficult for these athletes to stay well hydrated. 4 kilometers to go. We're actually on the former Telmark properties now. As I said, this was what was called originally by Tony the outbound Birkie 10K loop, which was a popular system to ski, a little more user-friendly than Twyla Falls and some of the sections of the World Cup trails or the Bill Koch Trail. But this has been the finish when the Korlopet, before it was moved to a finish on Main Street from the new Start Stadium that was built at Double O. This was the finish of the Korlopet as they came back to Telmark Lodge. Korlopet course used to start at the airport like the Birkie, and then they skied to the Timber Trail and turned around there and came back on this trail, part of which was built about 4K when this course was proposed through some support from Bayfield County, through Bayfield County Forest. Now you look at Frankowski, I don't know if she's decided to make a move or was worried about getting caught up by the male skier they were just passing, but it looks like she's tried to pick up her tempo and put a little bit of an attack on Elena. Maybe Rosie's decided that if this comes down to a stadium sprint, I'm not sure I can sprint with Sonesson, so I'm going to try to either wear her out or get away from her before we get to the finish stadium. Just a lot of opportunity for recovery, though, on this section of trail. As you can see, not a lot of climbing, not even a lot of flat, more just a couple of small ascents, and then you get to glide down. So it's you get a lot of recovery here. Don't seem to recognize any significant advantage or disadvantage in terms of ski speed between these two athletes. Three kilometers. We're coming to the end of the 2021 Women's Elite Race for the Slumberland American Birkebeiner. The last 400 meters or so are downhill, and then they go up over a new bridge that has a culvert for pedestrians underneath, and then they make almost the 180, 290s in succession, and then into the stadium with 100 meters to the finish. after they come off the bridge, there's a little bit of a pitch there, maybe a rise of 3 or 4 feet, but not really a climb, and you're carrying bridge speed off the bridge, so I'm sure that's not going to really be a factor at all. So Elaine has now gone to the front. Rosie seems content to sit in the draft of Sonesson. If you look at the resumes, both of these have lots of experience in World Cup starts, and but probably Frankowski, because of a long history of Super Tour racing, maybe a little bit more experienced in terms of what's the best strategy to deal with this finish. If they were on a traditional Birkie course, they'd now be coming off the lake and on to the streets of Hayward, about to be challenged by the bridge over the International Bridge over 63. And again, Frankowski is picking up a little tempo here. I don't know if she thinks that when she passes these men skiers that might create a little bit of an opportunity to get away from Elena, but Elena covers that without apparent problem. Now it is downhill, except for that little bridge. This is part of the loops that get skied so much because there was snow here well before Thanksgiving on this part of the trail system by the Birkie Trailhead, the start stadium and finish stadium. So it looks like Rosie's going to lead him towards the bridge and this finish. That bridge is kind of a pinch point. I'm not sure. I've never really seen two people skate up it side by side. And once you come off the bridge, there's not much distance. Plus, you're carrying speed from coming down the bridge to, make a pass. My thought would be, and it's only 1 kilometer to go now, my thought would be that whoever wants to take out this championship is going to have to make a move to sprint for the top of the bridge. And it's not far away at this point. Coming into the stadium. Rosie's free skating, 300 meters to go. The bridge is going to be coming up pretty soon. You can see some of the hosing for snowmaking along this section of the trail on your left, because they're going to make a U-turn. That's the stadium, the background of the finished buildings. Now Sonessen's making that attack. She wants to be the first to crest the hill, and she's going to be the first to crest the hill. I don't think Rosie's going to be able to catch her. Sonessen's doing a nice job step turning around that sharp corner. A little bit of a rise, as I said, and now it's just to the stadium, and it looks to me like we can identify for 2021 the Slumberland American Birkebeiner Women's Elite Champion, Elena Sonessen. Congratulations, a two-time Birkie winner, big smile on her face. And finishing second, Rosie Frankowski out of APU. So an outstanding race by these two young ladies. They separated themselves with about 10 kilometers to go. Now the question is, who's going to be in the bronze position? Who's going to finish third on this day in 2021 at the Slumberland American Birkebeiner? Based on what we saw out on the course, it would seem that possibly Caitlin Gregg would add to her amazing resume of Birkie results. So once again, congratulations to the young woman from Plymouth, Minnesota, went to high school in Wayzata, skied at the University of Vermont, is now training in New England at Stratton Mountain, and adds to her resume with a second championship in the American Birkebeiner, winning the race in 2019, and now repeating. And this looks like Caitlin Gregg coming in for a strong third-place finish. The young lady out of Minneapolis, the mother of Heidi, five-time Birkie champion. She's had a second, now she has a third. Last year she was fifth. So a great result by Caitlin Gregg, an amazing athlete.
It was so awesome to be there, and the race course was in amazing condition. And
It'll be interesting to see
racing on those
who
trails
rounds out.
with this kind of Midwest community, the entire ski community. You know, everyone cheering for everyone. And
Again, based on what we
just
saw
so
on the
happy to
course.
be here.
That was real. Congratulations on your victory. That was an exciting, especially finish to watch you and Rosie there. She was really giving you a run for your money. What was that like out there, the race action?
Yeah, we stayed in a pretty good group until about 00, and then we broke up into a smaller group of about 4 of us, and we were working pretty well together until the fire tower, and then I knew there were only a few climbs left. I am spoiled because I know these trails so well. I grew up racing and skiing on these trails, so I knew where the climbs were, and so I started making some moves, and then Rosie and I broke away and took turns kind of working on the downhill and the flat sections, and it was an awesome race. I mean, all those girls worked really hard out there.
It was a stacked women's field, and you came out on top. So two-time champion now, Birkebeiner champion, Elena Sonessen. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Well, we hope
and
you
thank
enjoyed
to
this
everyone
coverage
who's
of
out
the
here
women's elite race, an
making this
exciting
Birkie
field.
happen this year.
The interesting thing is that the top 4 finishers are going to be back tomorrow to participate in the classic race, so we hope you will join us in for the live stream. A little bit later, we hope to bring you the men's race in its entirety. So thank you, and it's been a pleasure. My name is Dennis Kruse.
There is a place in northern Minnesota where summer is calling you to open up, to jump in, to give your spirit 2 million acres to explore. Savor freshwater days and campfire nights, new trails and new adventures. Breathe deeper. Dare bigger. Let the moons remind you what's really important. Discover a landscape of pure colors and ancient mountains, hidden canyons and endless forests, where Lake Superior whispers and laughs. A place so vast that you'll need a lifetime to discover its secrets, and yet, somehow, it's like coming home. Follow the road, roam the wilds, wander the shore. This is where you feel free. Journey north to Cook County, Minnesota. Plan your adventure at visitcookcounty.com.
Welcome to the back shop at Pioneer Midwest. We are your one-stop shop for all things service. This last year we invested in a Tazari stone grinder machine, so we are doing grinds at the world-class level, and we've also got hot box and all the wax needs that you could possibly think of. So if you're looking for a fresh tune or wax service, definitely let us know and we can help you out. Hi everyone, welcome to the test lab at Pioneer Midwest. This is where we look at the fit and quality of skis. So we do pressure mapping in here, and then we do the flex testing over here. And I want to let you know that every summer we go ski shopping, so we visit the manufacturers to look for the best skis that they've made, and then we pair those up to our customers. So if you want hand-picked skis that are perfect for you, please contact us and we'd love to get you on our list.